Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to explain how you can create round shapes in The Sims 4. So, by default, the most basic thing in this game is a box with a roof on top. So, we don't really have any round shapes in this game. We can't create any round walls, so we have to be creative to create our own round shapes. And because it's not really a thing in this game, it's definitely an eye catcher. And you already saw some round shapes in the intro. And now we're going to jump right in and I'm going to show you how you can create different kinds of round shapes. So we are going to start with a completely round piece of foundation. It's a perfect circle. So the most common used round foundation is probably this one here, and you can create all kinds of different things with it, but we want to have a perfect circle, and you can't create a perfect circle with this type of foundation. What we are going to do is we are using this one here. It's the biggest round piece of foundation available, and it already has a fence attached to it. You place it, and then you simply make it one tile smaller on both sides. One tile smaller, one tile smaller. And then we can remove the fence. Of course, you don't have to do that. This is just a fun little fence bug that happens all the time. And then we simply copy this and attach it, and we have a perfect half circle. So you can use this to create a patio, for example. You could just attach a house to this, but you could also copy this and you have a perfect circle. So you could do all kinds of different things with it. You could create a flower bed, for example. You could also use this as some type of roof. In the past, I have created a little patio area, and then I just used a perfect circle on top of it, just so there's some type of roof going on. You can just have some fun with it, and the cool thing is that it's perfectly round. It's a perfect circle. Next, we're going to create our own custom round shapes, and for this I really like to use this Get Famous object. It's a little table basically. It's called Pristine Pedestal, but you can use all kinds of different things for this. I have done quite the same using this object here. I'm quickly going to show it to you guys, this one here, just so you know, in case you don't have any packs or not all of them. This object is kind of good for this as well, and it's base game. It's called Simplicity Nightstand, but I'm going to continue with this Pristine Pedestal. So first I want to talk about the basics. When we move an object, it snaps to the grid, as anyone knows, but when you use the Sims 3 camera, you can switch the cameras up here, and you hold down Alt, you can move it freely. It doesn't snap to the grid anymore. So all I'm doing right now is holding down Alt on my keyboard. So now we also want to be able to rotate objects freely. And what you want to do is you hold down Alt again, but then you also press down your left mouse button and you simply move your mouse to the left and to the right, back and forth. And as you can see, the object is rotating freely. So this way we can kind of create our own kind of curve. And for this, what I like to do is I draw on a curved shape on the ground using the terrain paint tool. You don't have to do that, but this can be good, so you have a type of guideline. And we can deactivate the grid because we're not working with the grid. We are kind of doing our own thing here. And now I'm going to place this object here. I now copy it. I hold down Alt, and now I move my mouse. And I want it to be ever so slightly angled, because if I would just have it like that, for example, you can see this is not really a lovely round shape. This is not looking right. We have like a quite sharp angle over here. So what you want to do is you just rotate it ever so slightly, so you can work out your round shape very slowly. I'm now doing the same thing, but this time I angle it a little bit more. And I hold down Alt so I can place it freely. And then I do the same over and over again. And this can be a bit tedious, but let me tell you, as soon as you've done it a couple of times, practice makes perfect, and it definitely gets easier. And each time I angle it a little bit more. And then on the other side, you can do the same thing. And of course, you could also be a little bit more aggressive, not too much, because you don't want to have a horrible angle over here. But now I'm rotating it a little bit more. And we have a curve that is a little bit more pronounced. I'm going to continue. And now we have our curve. And of course, you could also go into the other direction if you would like to. So let's say you want the curve to go to this side. Now I don't have a guideline for this, but of course you could simply draw it on. And the trick is to simply angle it only a little bit. So you really do it step by step. And sometimes the shape doesn't really look right, and then you just have to go back at it and you fix it. So this sometimes takes a little while. So what you could do with this, you could create some flower beds, you could create a path that leads to a house, for example. And I think that this object is really perfect for this, as I said, but you could also use the nightstand. I'm quickly going to do that. This is not my preferred object for this, but if you don't have any packs and I've used this for a base game build, then it's perfect. And you can do the same, but for this, as you can see, you have this little gap in between. So for this object, you have to make sure that you really merge it together so it's really close together. And it's the same method. This is what I'm talking about. You could use another one and place it in between. So I think that it's a little bit more tedious with this nightstand, but it definitely works. And in my experience, the sharper the curve, the more difficult it is. So if you start out, maybe just have a very soft kind of curve, just like this one here. And in the intro, you also saw kind of a fake wall, if you want to call it that. And I used a spot A object for that. It's the modish monolith. And you can size objects up and down in this game. And for what you saw at the beginning, I simply sized it down. By the way, when you are pressing shift while placing something, it gets automatically copied. But I usually don't use that when I'm resizing objects because these would be too many keys to press. I don't know, just I got used to just simply copying it then. So you can do the same with this object. You simply place it like this, you angle it ever so slightly. And you can create a little round wall. You could use this on the outside, just for landscaping, just for decoration purposes. Of course, you can really use this for building a house itself because you want to have proper walls for a house, but this is just another way to kind of create a little eye-catching shape. And then you could fill in this area with some terrain paint, for example. And once again, you can just be creative with it and have some fun with it. And now we are going to talk about curved paths. I have made a tutorial about this in the past, but I'm going to quickly cover it here. I'm going to link the other in-depth tutorial down below, but I'm going to simply explain it again in case you have no idea how to do that. So for the curved paths, I simply use a round piece of foundation like this one. And for my curved path, I'm going to make it smaller. So I have something like this. I'm going to put this to the side so I can simply copy it in case I have to. So I don't have to make it smaller again, because sometimes these kind of merge together while building the path and then I can't copy them. So this is my first piece. And then I copy this one again and I place it over here so it's one line. If you look at this point here, it's on one line. And then I copy it again and I place it here facing the opposite direction, so it's connected over here. I copy it and I place it over here. So now we have 4 pieces. These are facing in one direction and these are facing in one direction. And now you simply do the same thing. But now you want these 2 pieces to face into the other direction again. So you can now see a pattern over here, and we're going to do the same thing down here. So I'm simply going to color them so it's easier to see. These ones are facing into one direction and the gray ones are facing into one direction. So you want to make sure that these are always aligned properly. These are always on one line if you look at them. And then you simply add a fence. You can use any fence. I'm going to use this one now. And you want to use the replace fences option to add fences to a round shape. And this is exactly what I'm going to do now. Now I'm going to fill in these gaps here. And now you can see how we have a lovely curved path. Now we want to add some nice floor to that. I just added this floor so you could easily see what I'm doing there. I want to add some grass to hide the foundation pieces on the outside. And then I want to add any type of floor. This one, for example, on the inside. Forgot this one. And there you have a wonderful curved path. And you can also use bigger pieces of foundation if you would like to, so you can create another type of look, and you can once again just have some fun with it, be creative, and just try what you can do with this. So this is it, guys. I've shown you a couple of round shapes in The Sims 4. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I will help you. I hope that you will have an amazing week and that you can try out some of these things that I've shown you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.